Hi, everybody. It's Julie Drake with Shine with Julie, and I am super pleased to have Lisa in the house with us. And Kingsbury is your last name, right?
Correct.
It just total. Oh, I have it right there. I'm like, I totally blinked, but it's right in front of me. Um, so Lisa doesn't have anything to do in her life. It's really sad. She is a homeschooling mom of eight. Yes, I've said eight, and eight. She will tell you that there's only five at home now, but I still am like superwoman. I bow to her. She tapped into her background as a business operations specialist, and now she helps business owners, moms with their business strategies to level up their business with 4 W's, which she will explain in a little while. She loves helping clients grow their businesses, and I am super glad to have her with us here today. So, Lisa, is there something else about you that you want our audience to know before we go any further?
No, the thing I usually lead with is the homeschooling mom of eight, because that's the person like
That's enough to mic drop, right? Oh
yeah,
my gosh.
exactly.
How many? Wow. So you have a lot going on all the time. And what took you from, the spot where you were a business strategist, you worked for other companies, so you were an employee when you did that, to then coming into the entrepreneur space? What made you do that?
Well, so I homeschool, and I was thinking about, I have 8 kids, and while they're all only like 2 or 3 years apart, I kind of grouped them like in the older kids and the younger kids. And I was thinking about all the things that the younger kids I felt, which I know they're missing nothing, but the experiences that I felt that my older kids had that my younger kids were missing out on.
Right.
And so I decided that I wanted to take the most epic road trip ever, cross-country road trip with my kids. And I was like, okay, so I knew that was going to be like a multi-year venture. Like it wasn't just going to be like, let's hop in the car and go.
Right.
Not with, 5 kids going, so, and what do we do with the dogs? And I was like, okay, well, I got to pay for this somehow. Because homeschooling mom of 8, I don't, And so I was like, what do? I've had other side hustles along the way. And I was like, I really didn't want to go back to any of those. And so I turned to the Google, as one does when one doesn't know what else to do. And I discovered this whole amazing online world of entrepreneurship, like that I didn't even know existed. I'm not going to lie. I was not even on Facebook until I started this journey.
Really? Oh my gosh. That's funny. Yep.
So and that was it. Like I probably on the second or third day of my research, I am a high fact finder, but I'm also a quick start. So I do my research, but I jump right in. Yep. And so probably like the second day of my research, I was like, this is it. I'm in. I pulled out my credit card and I got started. And
fantastic.
That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we're a lot alike in that regard. I am a quick decision maker, but I do like to know what I'm getting into. So I have those similar qualities of you. This might be like all encompassing, and, feel free to answer this from a family perspective, a work balance perspective, just becoming a new entrepreneur. But what were some of the challenges that you had to overcome going from, your life as a homeschooling mom of 8 to now you're an entrepreneur, but still in that capacity? So balancing that.
Yeah, in the beginning, it was a lot about time because I was in school as well, going back to school to get my degree in psychology. So I was in school doing that, homeschooling with a baby and, starting this business. And it was a lot about boundaries because I am a jump in with both feet kind of person. And all in, I had to make sure that wasn't, didn't take over the world, I still, my people still have to eat, they still have to learn, they still have to go places, and it was finding that balance of how much can I put into this versus how much I wanted to put into it, because I am definitely a go big or go home kind of person. And I could have sat at my computer 23 hours a day working on this when I was getting started, but first of all, that's not healthy. And second of all, that's not fair to my family. So I had to find a way, because I'm not big on like making my business work around my family or making my family work around my business. I feel it's, especially when you have the kids at home, I feel it's super important to integrate the two.
Nice.
Because I'm not huge on mom guilt either. That's just not something I don't do it. Like, yeah. I just don't. If I feel like something is off, well, I make a change. I don't have time for it.
Right.
But so I had to find a way to integrate the two. And so that's, that was probably the learning curve right there, was how to integrate the business and the family.
Give me an example of what that's like in your life, because some people listening might be like, how do you do that? What does that look like? So give me an example of what integrating those two looks like in your environment.
Well, I don't have, quote, work hours. So I don't have work hours and I don't have family hours. Okay. And for some people that might not work, but is what I do have is when I plan my day, I know what needs, I call it focus time, because I need, like, if I'm writing copy, I've got to focus. I can't be like, whatever. But so I schedule that when I know that I'm going to have that available. And I have developed things with my kids. I mean, because this is pretty much all my kids have ever known, because even before I did the online stuff, I had other, side hustles. So my kids have always, but we have things like, if the door to our house is set up kind of interesting. I know you can see them behind me. There's sliding glass doors behind me. Well, there's another set in my office too. This used to be the back porch and they closed it in. So I have sliding glass doors that I can close, but I can still see what everybody's doing.
Very strategic.
Yes. And I have a standing desk. So if my desk is raised, like right now I'm standing, my kids know under no circumstances are they, you can probably hear them playing, but are they to come in here and bother me, like, barring bleeding or broken. Right. And that's one of my first questions. Are you bleeding or broken? If not, you need to walk away. But they know, because like, with the earbuds, they can't tell if I'm on a call or if I'm doing something, but my standing desk, they can see that. They need that visual, like, oh, let's walk away. So it's those kinds of little things that make it the kind of tricks to like, let them know, hey, this is it. And it's other things like on Mondays, I had, like this past Monday, I had a bazillion calls. Well, they started at like 10:30. So we got up and we went to the park. Like super early, way earlier than I wanted to be up and out. But I took them to the park. They got that time to, do their park thing. And so when I came home and I needed to work, it was a non-issue.
Right.
And then
because you had already focused on them.
Yeah. And in between calls, I'm like, hey, it's time to do X, whatever school, whoever's working on. They just come in and we just break everything up into little chunks. I know, okay, this task takes 15 minutes. I have 15 minutes. I pick a task off my 15-minute list. I have like the focus list. I have the 30-minute plus list. I have a 15-minute list, and I have a quick list. And so when I feel like, okay, because sometimes you play at 15 minutes between a call. Well, it can take you 15 minutes to figure out what you should do in that 15 minutes. Or you flip over to Facebook, or you know. Right.
And then you get lost and you've done nothing productive.
So those are some of exactly. So having that list where it's like my 30+ minute list, like where I know I need some time, my 15-minute list and my super quick list, having those things broken down like that has made a huge difference in my productivity.
You are like inspiring me right now, because even somebody like me, I at this point part-time homeschool, but that just spoke volumes to me, because how many times, like you said, you all of a sudden end a call early, you have 15 minutes, but then you're looking, what do I do in this 15 minutes? To lay out your day that way is awesome. Oh yeah, I'm just going to pick from this list. I'm going to do that thing. And it's super quick. You get it done. That is so awesome, Lise. I love that. So now, you've already talked about how you work your business around your family, and you're right. I think that some people are like structured. They need those block times. And then there's other people that are so like you that are like, I'm not that type of person. I can't do that for whatever reason. That doesn't work for them. So to have those pockets of time and use that strategy. Tell us a little bit about this 4W. I want to hear more about that because your goal is really, and you've helped me immensely in this last 2 minutes, but so how do you position that and how do you help people scale and grow their businesses? What does that look like for your clients? What do you bring to them?
Yeah, so I developed this framework when I had this vision. I do operations management and director of operations work for marketing agencies.
Okay.
But I had this vision to help people starting out because I know when I was starting out, I really there's so much information. I mean, you can completely start, grow, and run your business for free until you hit a certain point. Then, I feel like at that point you need help. But so you can find it all and you can do it all for free. But as I was growing and as I was building my business, I really just wanted somebody to say, you need to do this and you need to do this and this is how you do it. Because there's a lot of like, you need to do this and you need to, but everybody wanted like, oh, well, you need to hire a coach. You need to hire a coach. And I'm like, okay, I understand that. Like I have coaches and I love my coaches and I think coaches are amazing. But there is a point in your business where you don't have enough money for a coach. And a bad coach is way more detrimental to your business than no coach. And I think that's a part that's missed as well. But so you're at that point in your business where you're just not quite sure. You're spinning. You're like, okay, I'm trying this, I'm trying that, because you're finding all this free stuff. And it's like, oh, okay, they said do this, and they're a 7-figure business, so I'm going to do that. Well, they said do this. Well, they said do that. And you're just spinning. You're getting nowhere. And so I was like, I can help those people. I was like, because what they need at this point is they don't need a 6-week coaching program. They don't need a month-to-month coaching program. They need a strategy. I was like, I'm going to be that strategist. I am going to be that person. So I developed this 4W business growth framework because the basis of that is that you need to know who you're serving, why you're doing this, because this entrepreneur thing, especially when you have kids, it's not for the faint of the heart. And you've got to have a reason beyond money, because there comes a time when the money just doesn't do it anymore. I mean, in the beginning, the money is enough. And as I tell my clients, I'm like, your why can change, because in the beginning, the money, that is enough. But once you get to a certain point, it's like, why am I doing this? Why am I working? Why am I trying? You need something bigger than just the money. So you need the who, you need the why, you need the where. Where are you going as a business, and where are you taking your clients? Because they're coming along for the ride. You all need to be in the same boat, rowing the same direction to make this work. And then your what, that's your messaging. What are you offering, and what are you saying to your people? And those are the 4 fundamentals of your business. If you can nail those 4 things, then you're able to scale and grow. And that stops the spinning and the, I don't know what to do next. Well, how am I supposed to do this? Because you don't know these things, because you don't have that clear vision of those 4 W's.
So how do the clients get the strategy then? Is it a formula? Is it something that, because you said you're different than a traditional coach. So what does that engagement look like?
It is a 1-day strategy meeting. Like it's a long day and it's very brain tiring. I tell my clients, I'm like, make sure, I was like, because you don't understand until you get in there, and I keep poking and poking because people start giving me the answers that they've always given when they fill out these forms, and but I keep poking and I keep needing more and more, and they're like, oh my gosh, my brain, I just can't. And so, I mean, it really is, but it's a 1-day, about 4 hours. And we break it up. So it takes longer than 4 hours, but like we're actually, working for 4 hours. And then I take all that information you gave me and I create a map for your business. And then you're able to take that map and implement it and go and do the next thing and do the next thing. And you have the option, because it is only 4 hours. So we cover your who, your why, and your where. But on the what, we can either dive into your offer and we work on building out your offer. Not just like, because if you choose the other, we touch on your offer and what it is and where it fits into your value ladder. But we can either like deep dive into your offer and like completely lay it out, or we can deep dive into your messaging. So you kind of have to choose one track or the other. I mean, we will touch on them both, but like to deep dive into it, you kind of have to choose one or the other. Otherwise, we would be on the phone for days.
Sure. And I really like that, Lisa, because so many people are, even if they're just starting out, they have built this business in their head. They're doing it. And sometimes they are so close to it that they can't see what you're seeing coming from back here. I like how you said you poke and you get closer. And, I think as a business owner, I've been doing business for 19 years, but, before I knew you, I worked with somebody years ago that did that. And it's like, I don't know. I never thought about it. It's like, we don't stop sometimes as that business owner to think, I need to think about that. And then you see something as an outsider that we can't possibly see. So I think that's phenomenal. I love, love, love that. Another question I would love to ask you, because I really like to get different viewpoints on how people stay positive and, how do you teach your kids to be positive? How old are your kids, by the way? Because you said that you now have 5 that you're homeschooling, but obviously 3 others have, gone and done their...
My oldest is 23, so I've got 23, 21, 19, 16, 13... He'll be 11 in November. I tell him he's 11. He's like, I'm not 11. Yeah. I was like, whatever. So he's 10 technically. I know, right? Well, everybody's had their birthday but him, so I've already kind of bumped him up. Like everybody else is already older.
Just go up, dude.
I know, right?
Yes, exactly. You need to move to the next stage.
Exactly.
Love
and
it.
then a 7 and a 5-year-old. So my baby is 5.
So the older kids, they're out there, they're, on social media. How do you teach your kids and how do you manage this yourself to stay focused on, especially as an entrepreneur? I think that's super important that we don't get mired down in the negative swirling around you. So what does that look like for you and your family? Well,
the biggest, and I really think part of it is personality. I mean, yes, anybody can do it, but it comes easier to me than it does to even my husband, because I am overall, in general, a positive person. Like I'm very, like, it is what it is. It happened. Now we need to find a solution and we need to move on. I'm not a super, like I said, I don't do mom guilt. I don't dwell. I think that's part of it, is I don't dwell. I'm like, okay, this happened, solve the problem, move on. And that's part of that strategy. Like I'm very strategic. I'm like, I see a problem, find a solution, and move forward.
Right.
I'm definitely not the person you call if you just like want to vent and you don't want a solution. Like my mom called me the other day and she started the conversation. I know, right? She started the conversation. She's like, I just want to vent. And I'm like, why'd you call me? You have 3 other children, and one of them would have probably been a better bet. I mean, I try really hard. I'm not. But for my kids, because several of my kids struggle with anxiety, so it's super easy to go to the negative with that. Right. It's that constant conversation. It's like, okay, stop. Like that's when I'm like, stop. Like I just tell them all the time. I'm like, when I can see their brain turning, I like literally tell them, I'm like, stop. Yeah. What's the problem and what are your options? Right. And one of my things is I don't want anybody to feel stuck. That's a huge thing for me. I try to instill that in my kids. You always have a choice. You may not like your choices, but you are never without choices. Yeah. And that has been a huge thing in our family. If they're like, well, I don't have a choice. I'm like, you always have a choice, except the only problem is that kind of like came back to bite me, because my teenager, well, you can't make me do that. I'm like, you're right. I can't make you do anything. You have a choice, but I can make the consequences such that you're going to choose what I want you to do.
Exactly.
So that is something
you have a choice to get the consequence or not get the consequence.
Right, exactly. Decide. I'm like, I'm like, you're right. You have a choice. I can't make you, but here's what's going to happen if you don't. So, but like, I think reiterating that they're not stuck and they have a choice, I think it helps that mindset shift. And they still like to go and like have their wallowy minutes, but they're able to like stop and say, okay, this is what's wrong. These are my options. You know, what do I choose? Or is there a way to change my options? You know, is there something else I can do?
Right.
But I've always like kind of tried to like instill in them that you're not stuck. You're not without choices. You're not without options. You know, they may not be the best, but they're still there. And I think that kind of helps you not get in that stuck, like the world is attacking me kind of mode that some people, you know, get like, so.
Yeah, that's awesome. So as a person maybe listening out here, Lisa, that is where you and I were at one point, you know, we were working for other people and we just kind of, you know, I don't know about you, but I felt like there was always something more for me out there, but I had no idea how to go do it. And then when you don't, then, you know, some people sit there and go, oh, I'm too old. Or, you know, like you, I have all these kids. How could I possibly, you know, what advice would you give that person listening to this broadcast today?
It's a decision. You just have to decide and you just jump in. I mean, because that's really funny you asked me that. I was talking to my mom today. My mom is 70. I think about that. She's 70. And she told me today she's changing her living situation. And she said, I don't know what I want to do. And I was like, you just have to do. She's like, but I don't know what. I was like, you just pick one thing and do it. And if you don't like it, you cast it off. She's like, how do I decide what I want to do? I was like, you don't decide. I said, there is a whole big world out there. If I had decided when I decided I needed money for this road trip, if I had decided that I could only do what I had always done or something I had tried before, where would I be? I didn't. I said, I'm going to dive in. And it's really funny because I decided I was going to be a virtual assistant. That was the first course I ever took, was how to be a virtual assistant. I was going to do this. Do you know the first person that called me to like the first, like, you know, interview thing I set up? She's like, I don't think you're going to make a very good virtual assistant.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, it was like,
so
she's like,
funny.
but I have this project I want you to do. Like, she still hired me.
Nice.
But it was kind of a blow. Like, I invested this money and this time and this energy into doing this thing that I thought I was going to do, and I was going to be amazing, and I was going to make millions. Okay, not really, but you know, like, but I was going to do this. I'm so excited. And she's like, I don't think that's for you. And I was like,
oh my gosh,
so I had two choices. I could get angry. I could get depressed. I could wallow, or I could say, you know what? Let me see if what she's saying has any truth to it. And I did. And I examined it, and I was like, you know what? I think she's right. I don't think this is for me. And so I moved to the next thing, which for me was project management, which was like much more up my, you know, alley.
Right.
But it's that you just have to decide and you just have to try. And then if it doesn't work, you try the next thing. And if that doesn't work, you try the next thing.
Yeah.
And until you find that thing that is a fit for you. Because if you've never done something, how do you know if it's going to work or not?
Absolutely. Like the first business I ever started train wrecked. And I could have gone to, oh my gosh, I'm not meant to be an entrepreneur. No, that just wasn't the right thing for me. So I'm so glad you said that, because I think a lot of people think it has to be the perfect thing. You know, if I'm going to jump, it has to be the perfect thing. Everything has to be in place. I have to know everything. I have to do everything right. And it's messy. Entrepreneurship is messy. And you do need to be able to flip and be flexible. I love that story. And I love that your mom at 70, doing new stuff. That's you are never too old to do something new and different.
No.
Yes. So where did you go on your trip? Have you done it yet?
We haven't done it yet because we had it. We've done some East Coast. We live in Alabama. So we've done some East Coast trips and stuff that were super fun. We've done some hiking and camping in different places we hadn't been before. We did one place called Cloudland Canyon in Georgia. It's a hike with 600 stairs.
Oh, I'm so glad you did that.
The waterfalls were amazing, but holy cow. It was my poor 5-year-old. He was done. He was done.
It's like the little engine that could, I think you can, buddy. Come on.
I know.
I think you
and
can.
I mean, we had water and snacks, but I'm thinking for that, we probably needed more snacks to motivate him, like some more like hold out the candy, like, come on, walk a few more steps.
What is the most favorite place that you and your kids have done on this trip so far? What is something on the East Coast nobody can miss?
I mean, for the waterfalls, I mean, I know it was a lot of hiking, but Cloudland Canyon was pretty amazing. We had a good time. I can't remember what it's called. There's one outside of Chattanooga. There's a campground outside of Chattanooga that was amazing. Like, it was the hiking was a little more difficult.
This is the Smoky Mountains then, right? Mm-hmm. In that area. Yeah.
So,
right. So
and it was a little more. Exactly. It was a little more, but and then COVID hit. We were planning a trip out to California. We're going to go out west, down through Texas, up California, and come back around like this big, huge circle, all planned, and then COVID. And then when COVID was getting better, because we're camping, so we're not super worried about like, exposure and stuff. I mean, we have to be careful, but not like over, it's not the same as going and doing all the indoor things.
Right.
And then, COVID was getting better, and we started planning again. And then the second wave, I was like, everything's going on. I was like, okay, so now it's on hold yet again.
It will happen.
But
wonderful.
So in the meantime, we're just doing the little trips to, on the East Coast. So it's still fun. It's different. Not everybody can say they've hiked 600 stairs. So.
No. So for you ambitious hikers out there, Smoky Mountains and Cloud Canyon, Georgia?
Cloudland Canyon in Georgia, yeah.
All right. Well, I want to make sure that our viewers know how to get a hold of you, Lisa. So I'm putting your website up here, and I have greatly enjoyed talking to you. And for those entrepreneurs, for those wannabe entrepreneurs listening today, Lisa would be a great reference for you to either hone where you're going, set you on the right course where you're going, give you confidence in your message, or, just connect with her on social media and maybe she has some ideas. I love some of the things you've talked about today, and I really thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Now your kids you can open the door and tell them they've been really good. Hey, but they didn't come in. That was the rule, right?
That is the rule. Do
not open the door. So thank you so much. And I just want to tell you, my listeners out there, if you don't believe in yourself right now, borrow my belief, because I do believe that you have the ability to shine, and there is something exciting for you to do in whatever area is on your heart to go and do. Like Lisa said before, decide and get out there and do it. Thanks so much.